Hello and welcome to the Capital OTB Stakes preview for the weekend of September 22nd. Sully Karate and Mike Callahan here with you. Mike, how you doing?
What's going on, Sully?
Not much. It's just a fantastic weekend of racing all around the country. Belmont's got a fantastic card. Parks obviously has a 13 race card highlighted by the PA Derby and the Cotillion. And at Charlestown, it's a really nice card with the evening stakes card. So, and also up at Woodbine, there's a couple stakes. So just all around the country, just fantastic stakes racing. And obviously, the big one is the PA Derby with the return of McKinzie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's loaded. We're going to take a look at 5. We aren't going to get a chance, like you said, to take a look at the Charlestown stuff. But definitely note that post time is going to be 5 o'clock. The big race goes off around 10:15. And take a look at the jockeys because if we think we have long days, they have some really long days. A couple of them are going to be traveling from Belmont to Charlestown that night, and a couple of them are going to be traveling from Parks after they run in the Cotillion and also in that PA Derby and traveling over for a $300,000 purse. And again, there's a bunch of stakes. So obviously great racing in the afternoon, but also great racing at night.
Yeah, so we're going to kick things off. We have 2 races in New York at Belmont Park and then 3 on that fantastic card at Parks. We'll start with the 4th race. Race 4 at Belmont Park is the Noble Damsel, a Grade 3 event going a mile on the turf course. And then we'll look at the Kelso, a Grade 2 event, 1 mile. Remember, Belmont is a one-turn mile, the one-turn mile on the main track. And then we'll shift our attention to Pennsylvania and Parks. With race number 10, that is, race number 9 at Parks is the Gallant Bob, a Grade 3 event, 6 furlongs on the main track. Also, race number 10, it is the Cotillion, a Grade 1 event. This is for 3-year-old fillies. A big $1 million purse going a mile and a 16th. And we'll finish it off with race 11, which is the Pennsylvania Derby, a Grade 1 event. $1 million on the line, going a mile and an eighth.
All right, but we will go back to Belmont, take a look at their 2 features on Saturday, starting out with race number 4 on Saturday. It's the Grade 3 Noble Damsel, and a nice field here of 6 horses in here. A lot of notable names. It looks like, morning line-wise, there seems to be 3 serious contenders. We'll start out with number 1 and go in numerical order as we always do with number 1, Lift Up, going out for Michael Dickinson. Mario Pino is going to be aboard 8-1, and there are a lot of intriguing questions with this horse because 8-1 offers some very good value. This horse started out the career on the dirt, really didn't do much running. As soon as they switched this horse to the turf, really started to excel. You take a look at that turf record, 5 of 6 lifetime wins coming on the turf, including 2 of the last 3, and that stakes race down at Monmouth, 2 starts back. Last time did face the likes of Alicia's World and Dream a While, who's in this race. Finished an even 5th that day, beating 6 3/4. Buyers-wise, needs to improve, but if this horse does improve slightly, could absolutely be in the mix.
Yeah, this horse definitely can be in the mix. I have the horse right in my mix here. And it's interesting because this horse wants to run these same exact race as Uni, who we haven't talked about yet, out of the Shad Brown barn. But these 2 are going to be flying late. Lift Up's going to be a little bit closer to the pace you would assume than Uni because Uni's so deadly closing. But I could definitely see this horse making a bit of a run late and kind of help out the exactas and triples.
Number 2 is your morning line favorite. That is Uni going out for the Chad Brown barn. You're going to get Joel Rosario aboard, and that's kind of interesting. So the first thing you kind of take a look at is Gerard Ortiz Jr. has been aboard every single start in North America as far as being on Uni. Now you go to Joel Rosario because Gerard Ortiz Jr. is going to be out of town. To me, a little bit of a question mark, obviously, because different riding styles. Obviously the horse is used to Gerard Ortiz Jr. riding, but you take a look at the last 2, and that restricted race last time out, a winner over the soft turf course in the De La Rose, a restricted stakes race at Saratoga. Thought that was a very good performance and beat a nice horse in Prezus, who they kind of were both flying late. Uni was able to edge out Prezus in a very nice performance, getting a career best 95 buyer. To me, there's obviously a lot of upside with this horse. 2 for 2 at the distance. I put just underneath, just based on the fact that this price is probably going to be somewhere around 1-1, but nonetheless, is a deserved favorite.
Yeah, definitely a deserving favorite. And as you said last time out, a fantastic performance. Uni was wide the entire way, and it was really a great race to see the 2 Chad Brown's horses go head-to-head like that, and Uni got the best that day. But this horse, is going to be flying late, and I'm interested to see how Joel rides the horse. Obviously, there's a little bit of a question mark, no Gerard Ortiz, but on paper, I think Uni is definitely the horse to beat.
Number 3 is another Chad Brown Cheney, and that's Dream a While, 2-1 on the morning line, so Chad has the top 2 in here. Javier Castellano is going to be aboard. Finished second last time out in a grade 3 event down at Monmouth. Got the lead at about the eighth pole, and then just kind of got overtaken by Alicia's roll that day. I thought that was a really good performance. Just timed up, I think, just a hair too early, kind of flattened out at the end. But you take the look at it, was at a mile and an eighth, now the cut back to a mile. Maybe this is right in this horse's wheelhouse. Is always bet time and time again. A horse that's been in the money 10 of 11 times lifetime, does have those 4 wins. For me, solidly in the mix.
Definitely in the mix here as well. And as you said, just the lifetime, it's tough not to use the horse in your mix. It's going to be interesting to see who takes the favoritism out of the 2 Chad Brown entries. But as you said, I think the cutback is a fantastic play here. And that race was a little shorter at Monmouth. Dream Royale wins very impressively.
Number 4 is Hawksmoor, going to go out for Arnold Delacour. Manny Franco's going to be aboard 5-2 on the morning line. Solid third choice in here. And this horse, last time, was able to sit off of some very slow fractions, obviously, that day. Go back, watch the Boston Spa where Kadar was able to beat that field wire to wire. They went really slow that day, finished up really strong. Hawksmoor kind of did all the dirty work and was still able to hang on to finish second, only being a length and 3/4. Again, there was a little bit of a speed bias, if anybody remembers that day, and even kind of throughout the week, you just saw speed kind of holding firm in these route distances on the turf. But you also take a look at the track record for Hawksmoor. Loves it at Belmont, 2 for 2, including that win in the Grade 2 last year in the New York Derby down at Belmont, or New York Stakes, down at Belmont, a horse that's been in the money 4 of 6 at the distance. For me, there is no pace in this race. You take a look at it. Uni wants to come off, lift up. The number 1 wants to come off. Dream a While will be sitting mid-pack. You have Mythical Mission we haven't talked about yet, who's going to want to be sitting about mid-pack. And then Thundering Sky really doesn't want anything to do with the lead. So you just take a look at the fact that the mile distance, Hawksmoor is going to be able to get an easy lead. You take a look at the fact that at Belmont, this horse has relished the lead and been able to hang on against even better competition than this race is going to hold in here. So for me, it's going to be my top choice in here and offers a really serious speed play in this spot.
Yeah, I had the horse in my mix, my top 2 mix as well, and for the same reason. There's no other speed in this race. Hawksmoor's going to get to the lead. Manny Franco does a great job on the lead, especially on the grass, of slowing down the pace, and that's exactly what I think Hawksmoor will do. If this horse runs a 49, and if the horse definitely runs a 50, it's going to be tough to catch Hawksmoor in front here, because everyone else, as you said, Mike, wants to come off the pace.
It's kind of just like what we saw up at Woodbine when we went up for our trip last week in Oscar Performance. You took a look at that first fraction in the quarters, the quarter and the half. You just said it was absolutely done at that point. You may actually see that in this race in the Noble Damsel. You may just see Hawksmoor, like you said. If you see anywhere around 23 and 4 or anywhere around 48 to the half going the mile distance, it's going to be really hard to catch Hawksmoor in this spot. On to number 5, Mythical Mission, going out for Grand Motion. Junior Alvarado is going to be aboard 15-1 on the morning line. This horse won a stakes race down at Mountaineer last time, going the mile and 70-yard distance. You go back to the 2-back race, actually raced in a Grade 2 event up at Woodbine. Finished a dull 7th against some good competition, though. Santa Monica was a nice one for Chad Brown, and also in Flexibility, who we got to see this weekend, was actually a beaten favorite up there. And also Holy Helena finished third in that race. But if you just take a look at the overall body of work, this horse needs to improve, especially Beyer-wise. Been running in about the mid-80s. You take a look at the tops among here, have been running in the high 90s, close to 100, especially with Hawksmoor's 200 plus Beyer finishes in the last 5 starts. So you're just taking a look at it, just needs to improve Beyer-wise.
Definitely does need to improve, but Grand Motions likes taking shots in these type of races. But for me, I look at closing speed horses in here sitting in the middle of the pack. I had to go inside with Lift Up or one of the Chad horses. So for me, as you said, just really does need to improve those Beyer figures. And it really was a nice effort to get up to win a stakes race last time out of town, but it's facing some quality horses here today.
Rounding out the field is number 6, Thundering Sky, going to go out for George Weaver. Rajiv Mirage is going to be aboard 12-1 on the morning line for a horse that finished second last time out, beaten 2 lengths in a Grade 3 event up at Woodbine, albeit that was over the synthetic. Actually beat Malibu Bonnie that day, and Malibu Bonnie, actually, we got a chance to see this past weekend up at Woodbine. Ran a pretty good second to a nice horse in Moonlight Promise. So you take a look at that effort, you say it's pretty good. Now gets back onto the turf, but the fact is this horse is 2 for 18 lifetime over the turf course Has been in the money, 9 of 18, so you have to like that. Maybe a horse to use in the tries and supers, but for me, you just had to pass as far as wins.
Yeah, I had the pass as well. I mean, if the horse runs a buyer in the 94s, 92s, where the horse did win the Della Rose last summer at Saratoga, I think you can have a legit shot. But if it throws in a clunker like it did this year against Uni and also 3 back, I think it might be tough. But the horse definitely needs to run back to those mid-90 buyers to be competitive.
This is a pretty interesting race. What were your thoughts here in the Grade 3 Noble Damsel?
It really was, and I had a tough time deciding between Hawksmoor and Uni, who I wanted on top. I eventually signed it with Uni and Hawksmoor underneath, just because I loved Uni last time out. We're not going to get that 5-2 price again. We're not going to get that $6 to $7 horse again. But it's just how that horse looked last time out. His race against a little bit better throughout the career. Going to be interesting to see how Joel Rosario runs for the first time in the irons. Hawksmoor underneath, as I said, it was just tough not to put Hawksmoor on top, especially the lone speed in this race. It offers a ton of value at 5-2. Potentially could float up there. And then I put Lift Up underneath, just try to get a little bit of a price. Definitely has the potential to run third or better in this race with the closing kick. So I had 2, 4, 1, and 3.
Yeah, I had a 4, 2, 3, and 1. So we kind of side in the 4 horses we like in this spot. We're just kind of having a different angles as far as. For me, I think Hawksmoor is going to be easily my top choice in this spot, just based on the race dynamics we've talked about. The fact that this horse is pretty much the classiest horse in the field. You take a look at all those Grade 1, Grade 2 events. It's going to get a little bit of class relief. I think it's going to get an easy, clear lead under Manning. And probably is going to be able to hold on in this spot. I'm hoping that 5-2 stays, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going to think the same way we do with the way that the race kind of shapes up. Underneath Uni in the second spot. Horse that's won the last 2. Going out for Chad, obviously. A little question mark with Joel Rosario, but obviously he's a really good jockey as well. With the change up from Ryan Ortiz, who's been aboard for all of the North America starts. We'll see what happens with Uni. I think it's going to be a real short price. Wouldn't be shocked to see the horse get the job done either. And then Dream a While, a horse that I think, of the 3 logical horses in here, I think it's going to be overbet in this spot, especially with Javier being aboard. A horse that's bet in the money 10 of 11, but has only won 4 of those 11 starts. And you just take a look at last time, should have won that race against Alicia's World, but ended up getting caught that day. For me, it was a little bit of a red flag, sort of hung there late coming down the stretch. But we'll see what happens in a very interesting Grade 3 event, the Noble Damsel Race 4 at Belmont on Saturday. We will transition now to race number 8 on Saturday. It's the featured at Belmont, the Grade 2 Kelso. They're going to go a mile on the dirt. A solid field of 7 horses in here. And we're going to start out with the morning line favorite, and that's number 1, Battle of Midway. Going out for Jerry Hollendorfer. You're going to see Flavian Prado. I know you and I both, whenever he's in town, you have to take a look, because time and time again, he's not shipping over for any other reason than to win this race. And this is just an interesting horse based on the fact that this horse was retired after winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year. It was a very nice performance. They decided they were going to retire. And obviously, bigger and better things were going to go happen for Battle of Midway. But for some reason, there was a miss, and they brought this horse back into training. And last time out, off a really long layoff, finished second, beating 7 1/4. Albeit it was to a really nice horse in that Grade 2 event, and Catalina Cruiser. Going 7 furlongs off the long layoff, I didn't think it was that bad a performance. If this horse goes back and runs anywhere close to that Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, it's easily the best horse in here. Problem is this horse ready second off the layoff? Is this horse going to need a couple races to get back into it? What are your thoughts?
I think Battle of Midway on paper definitely is the best horse, and everyone agrees with that. And the horse has been working lights out west. I think can definitely improve off that long layoff, second off that long layoff, but the horse fell out of the gate, bobbled out of the start, then got bumped a few times last time out. And the distance, this horse loves running the mile distance. The question mark here is the one turn. Can this horse do a one turn? 2 to 1's too short to take, even though I'm a big Flavian Prat fan. I love betting Jerry Hollendorfer as well. I love the horse in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile as well. So I had the horse in my mix. I have underneath, though.
Number 2 is Timeline, going out for Chad Brown. Javier Castellano's going to be aboard, 8 to 1 on the morning line. A horse that finished 4th last time in a restricted stakes in the Alley Dar up at Saratoga, going the mile and 8th distance. Now cuts back to the mile in here. And a horse that just has relished Belmont. As 2 of the 5 victories have come over the Belmont surface, including 3 for 3 in the money. For me, I just had outside of my mix in here just based on the fact that this horse is 1 for 6 as far as wins goes in the last 6 starts. Horse that's always getting bet time and time again and just really hasn't come back into the form of last year in 2017 when this horse was really good.
Yeah, the horse was great last year, and I agree. I have underneath. I couldn't have in my top 3 just because the horse, it ran okay last time in the Alydar. 2-back ran okay as well, but definitely does need to step up. Not very often you're going to see a Chad Brown at 8-1. So if you're a big Chad Javier guy, this is definitely your horse at 8-1 here. But I think there's better in this field. This horse needs to wire the field, but Battle of Midway wants to go, and a couple others in here want to get to the lead. No Dozing wants to get to the lead, and Sunny Ridge as well. So I just think the race dynamics are against Timeline a little bit, and definitely does need to step off from that last performance at Saratoga.
And something we haven't noted, and it's definitely worth seeing, is if you're taking a look at this race, you're taking a look at the mile distance, you take a look at everybody's last race. They either went the mile and an eighth distance or they went 7 furlongs. So everybody is either stretching out or cutting back in here, and you normally don't see that. You usually see a couple horses that have raced last time at the same distance, but everybody has a little bit of a different angle. They're either stretching out or cutting back, so we'll see which horse likes either the cut back or the stretch out in here. But we'll be on to number 3 in here. That's Realm going out for Barclay Tagg. What you have to note is 2 for 3 so far down at Belmont during the fall meet, so obviously his horses have been quite live, even though there's only been a short sample of them. Junior Alvarado is going to be aboard, 10-1 on the morning line. Back-to-back winner of the last 2, including last time in the upset in that restricted stakes, the Alydar, beating the likes of Caroloof, Patch, and also Timeline, who we just touched upon. Got an 88 buyer. For me, it's probably just a touch below in here, but if you're taking a look at recency, this horse has been in really good form of late. Problem was, when I ultimately looked at it, is 1 for 9 at Belmont.
Yeah, that's what made me excuse me, that's what made me pass as well. The 1 for 9 I couldn't get past, but Barclay Tagg, he's phenomenal, as you said, the short sample already at Belmont. And his horse is really balanced on paper. There's a ton of speed in here, so Junior could sit back and close. We've seen the horse do that earlier in the career, sit back in a stalking roll and close a little bit. But I agree. I think there's better in this field. That upset winner was great in the Alydar, but definitely does even need to improve that 88 buyer.
Number 4 is No Dozing going out for Arnold Delacour. David Cohen's going to be aboard 4-1 on the morning line, and this horse is going to have the third start of 2018 coming up. The first 2 were pretty good, actually. The 2018 start was in July 21st. It was in that optional claimer, got the job done by 3/4 of a length against a pretty nice group of horses, including Awesome Slew. Last time was a big jump up into Grade 1 company in the Forego. Finished an even 5th that day, beaten 3 1/4. That was to Whitmore, City of Light, Limousine Liberal. I didn't think it was that bad of an effort. Maybe third off of a long layoff. This horse is kind of rounding into form. The workouts have kind of shown that. And if you're also looking for a little bit of a stat, sprint to route, Arnold Delacour excels in this situation, 33%. So maybe this horse on the stretch out to the mile could be right in the mix.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And the one thing, again, we could say for a lot of horses, there is a ton of speed in here. So if this horse runs like it did a few starts ago, and it actually was the favorite at Churchill Downs, at Keeneland, in the Lexington, was the favorite against Senior Investment in West Coast, ran a huge race that day, lost by a neck to those 2 very nice horses. I definitely think the horse is live in this spot. But as of recency, the Forego I thought had a chance there, did not really run that well, didn't get to the lead as we thought the horse would, so I had to ultimately pass in this spot.
On to number 5, that's Still Having Fun, going out for Tim Keefe. Joel Rosario is going to be aboard 8-1 on the morning line. It's going to be interesting to see which spot they choose because they're cross-centered in another race at Parks that we'll go over a little bit later on. But you take a look at the last 2 efforts, they've been really good. Was an upset winner in the Woody Stevens when we were down on the Belmont Stakes undercard that day. Got the job done against Engage and Promises Fulfilled, and obviously those 2 have gone on to be really nice sprinters, so you have to take a look at that effort. Last time out, took a little bit of money in the H. Allen Jerkins. Finished 5th, beaten 4 1/4. I thought that was an even performance. For me, maybe the fact that this horse was coming off of a freshening last time out, maybe you just needed a race in there, second off the freshening. You take a look at the workout pattern. This horse runs back to that two-back race in the Woody Stevens. Has to be a legitimate contender.
Yeah, I hope the horse stays in here because I have the horse on top in here and then in the Parks race as well. So I hope the horse stays in here because I think the race sets up perfectly for Still Having Fun in Joel Rosario. This is the only closer on paper here. This course wants nothing to do with the lead whatsoever. We saw that in the Woody Stevens. We saw that last time out. In 3-back, we saw that as well. So Joel Rosario has been riding great on this horse. The horse is 1-for-1 here at Belmont, obviously because of that Woody Stevens race. And does okay at the mile. 1-for-1 at the mile distance. I think the stretch out the horse will appreciate just because I think the race will set up perfectly here for Still Having Fun. Hopefully stays in this spot at a big price.
On to number 6, that's Pattern Recognition going out for Chad Brown. Tyler Gaffleone is going to be in town and on board. This horse, 9-2 on the morning line. This horse last time won a 2 other than optional claimer up at Saratoga going 7 furlongs, so was obviously stretching out an extra furlong today to the mile distance. See what happens. You can take a look at Buyers alone. That 100 Buyers stands out. You take a look at 4-back when this horse won at the mile distance. So if you have any question marks about the distance, this horse 4-back was able to win and got a career best 103 Buyer, winning by 6 impressive lengths that day against some decent horses. I know is stepping up as far as class goes. There's a bunch of other horses in here that are classier, but for me at the price, and I didn't really want to take anybody at a lower price, especially with a lot of sporadic races going on and a lot of question marks. I thought Pattern Recognition, you're right, there is a lot of speed in here, but there is the potential that Pattern Recognition, we got a favorable post coming out of the 6-hole, maybe a couple on the inside go out. Pattern Recognition can sit just off because you go back to that 4-back race. Didn't have the lead that day. Actually sat off of it, was able to rate and go clear. So I'm hoping for that type of setup in here. And 9-2 offers a really good value.
There is definitely a ton of value here, and depending on what happens, I have the horse either 4th or just out of the mix here. But I agree. I like Tyler Gaffleone coming back to ride this horse after the horse won by 6 1/4 with Gaffleone last time he was aboard, and racing against some nice horses and since that race at Aqueduct. So it's going to be interesting to see. As you said, the post it definitely favors this horse. And the last 3 or 4 Buyers have been outstanding. If this horse runs 100 Buyer again, it's going to wire the field at a really nice price.
On to number 7, Sunny Ridge, Jason Service, 3-1 on the morning line. Manny Franco's going to be aboard. Last time did run in the Grade 1 Woodward, where Yoshida was the, I would say, partially upset winner that day, going first time onto the dirt. Guinevere finished second in that race. Sunny Ridge, though, finished 9th, beating 6.5 lengths. Go back to that 2-back race, though, at the mile and 16th distance. In that stakes race down at Belmont Park, sat just off the speed, went cleared by 3 1/4, beat Timeline that day. Thought that was a very impressive performance. Obviously, the only 100-plus Buyer of the career. Off of a little bit of a bounce last time out, maybe this horse progresses. I know you're really high in the Jason Service barn. Where'd you have this horse in the mix?
Yeah. Honestly, I was looking at the Parks card, and this horse is cross-entered as well. So it's going to be interesting to see because if Still Having Fun leaves, I have this horse on top. If they both leave, then I have to go back to my 3rd spot, and I don't want to put Battle of Midway on top. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jason Service does. But I definitely have the horse in my mix if the horse stays. And, I thought that was a big ask in the Wood, but the horse looked great in the stakes race 2-back, and even in that Grade 3 at Monmouth 3-back. So the Service barn has been on fire, winning 18% of the races, 3-1. Manny Franco has been riding great in Naira all year long, and has been in the early stages of this meet. Offers some value. It's going to be interesting to see who will get to the lead from the outside stall, the 6 or Sunny Ridge here.
What are your thoughts here in the Grade 2, Kelso?
My top 2 choices are cross-entered as well. If Still Having Fun stays, I have Still Having Fun on top. I just think there's a ton of speed in here and it sets up perfectly. Still Having Fun, Battle of Midway will be battling out late in the stretch. So I'm Still Having Fun on top. If Still Having Fun leaves, I have Sunny Ridge on top, just because I think 2-back, that was really, really impressive. The Wood was a little bit of a question mark for me there, so we'll see what Jason Service wants to do. Battle of Midway, I think will improve off the second off the layoff. I love betting Flavian Pratt. 2-1 is too short for me to take, even though I did like the horse in the Breeders' Cup last time out. That was the big question mark off that long layoff. But second off the layup, Hollendorfer is very, very successful. And for a closing horse, those 2 bullet workouts stare at you right in the face. But I also put Timeline in the mix as well, just to get a little bit of a price to complete the super. So yeah, I hope Still Having Fun stays. That's it. That's what I have on top here.
Yeah, if you do take a look at this race, like I said, it's really key that you have a lot of stretch out and cutback horses in here, because the way you kind of see the race develop is going to be quite interesting. I don't see the pace as hot as you see it, just on the fact that Sunny Ridge, if this horse does stay, because it is cross-centered, like you said, is more of a route type of speed horse. If you take a look at it, Pattern Recognition is more of a sprinter type speed horse in here. So I think you may see a 2 or 3 length difference with those horses. Timeline is more of a route type of speed horse in here. And you have a couple in here that are actually stretching out from the 7 furlongs. You could see No Dozing a little bit more forwardly placed. So you take a look at paper, it's a little weird to take a look at. Ultimately, I went with Pattern Recognition. I think may actually get a clear lead in here. We'll see what happens, though. Maybe the pace does develop into a little bit faster than I anticipate, and goes more towards what Sully's thinking. But that's why we kind of take a look and analyze the races. We've seen 1,000 races that we thought were going to shape up one way and go the other way. Underneath, I'm going to go Sunny Ridge. Hopefully this horse stays in the spot, but is cross-centered at Park, so we'll see if this horse stays in. And then Battle of Midway. I think we both agree on the fact that this horse is ultimately the best on paper, but we have a lot of question marks. But it's good to see Jerry Hollendorfer send this horse over with Flavien Prat. So you take a look at those workouts. This horse runs back to anything like he did in the dirt mile. It's going to be a serious contender in here and doesn't need the lead. This horse could kind of sit the pocket and kind of angle out, maybe all over when Flavien Prat kind of shakes the reins on this horse. So very interesting race, featured race at Belmont on Saturday. It's the Grade 2 Kelso. I saw it 6, 7, 1, and 5. All right, that's going to bring us to our first break on here. When we come back, we'll take a look at the action-packed card at Parks. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Caplo TV Stakes preview for this upcoming weekend. We just take a look at the 2 races at Belmont. We are up to all the Parks action on a action-packed Saturday there. Obviously, it's sort of the featured track. If you're taking a look at all the stakes racing, obviously, as Sully alluded to, there's a lot of stakes racing going around. But Parks does seem to be the featured on Saturday afternoon. We'll take a look at the Grade 3 Gallant Bob. It's race number 9 on Saturday's card. They're going to be sprinting 6 furlongs on the dirt, and it is a field of 10 horses in here. A lot of notable names, starting out with number 1, Still Having Fun, who we just went over with at Belmont because he is cross-entered. Again, you take a look at that Woody Stevens effort, 13-1 that day, came from 11 lengths off of a really hot pace. Got the job done going clear. I know you're really high in this horse in this spot, so I'll sort of take it away from there.
Yeah, and so either way, I'm going to have Still Having Fun on top, either at Parks or at Belmont. So I just talked about it in the last race, but another race where I think it sets up perfectly for this horse. Obviously, this horse sprinting. I love betting closers in sprinting races, so I think in either spot, the horse is pretty dangerous, and here you're getting a better price at 12-1.
Number 2 is Forced, going to go out for Miguel Vera. Edgar Prado is going to be aboard 6-1 on an interesting horse who's 1 for 3 lifetime. Did get disqualified 2 starts back, but it was an impressive 8 1/4 length win before the DQ. So you just take a look at that race, had ducked out and ultimately got taken down. But you could kind of, in your own mind, say that was a win last time out. Did go into Stakes Company in that $90,000 stakes against Engage. Finished a solid second, only beating a nose. Problem was, that was back in May 13th of this year, so it's coming off a little bit of a layoff, but you take a look at that workout pattern, is very good. Ultimately, I didn't have the horse in my mix, but this horse is going to be on the lead and quite dangerous.
Yeah, I had to leave it out of the mix as well. I think this layoff is the big question mark here. The connections are 0 for 6 here, but the workouts have been phenomenal. I love betting Edgar Prado. I still think he's a fantastic rider, a little bit, and you still get some prices with Edgar, which is nice to see. So I left out of my mix. I could see why people would be high on the horse because 2 back, that was very impressive. And if you like Engage at all, Force has to be in your mix.
Number 3 is 7 Trumpets, Dale Romans, Robbie Alvarado, 12-1 on the morning line. I really, really, really hope this price holds in here because I loved him in the H. Allen Jerkins when he finished second at 32-1 that day. I actually had that triple cold because we had talked about it on the stakes preview we did on the Travers undercard. But you take a look at that was going 7 furlongs, cutting back to 6. I think this horse is just rounding into form. You take a look at that 2017 form where the horse was really, really good. Started out in January with that solid second-place performance to Firenze Fire. Then kind of lost a little bit of the form and regained it 3 starts back when it was sort of an upset winner against Crosswalk. Take a look at the back-to-back second-place performances at double-digit odds in both of them. Again, I just think it's rounding into form. You take a look at that workout on September 15th. 46-4, first of 78 at Churchill Downs. This horse is razor sharp right now. I don't think the 12-1 is going to hold. Hopefully we get somewhere around 8-1, but nonetheless, I have this horse on top.
Yeah, I could see why you would have the horse on top. I have the horse in my mix. I think it's a serious contender, and like you, I hope the 12-1 stays. The horse ran huge last time out against Promises Fulfilled. Looks like the horse was dead in the water, came back and fought on. Really gutsy performance there. I think you'll get that again here today. Horse likes to be forwardly placed, has a closing kick. We saw that last time out. We saw that too back in an optional claiming $100,000. $100,000 race, and as you said, those bullet workouts stare at you right in the face. 12-1 offers a ton of value on this horse.
Number 4 is Engaged, Chad Brown. Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard, 4-1 on the morning line. This horse has been in the money 7 of 8, including 3 wins, but hasn't won in 3 starts, but has been close. Does have those back-to-back runner-up finishes, 2 and 3 back. Last time out was the first race where this horse was out of the money, albeit it was just a 4th-place finish, beaten 2 lengths, 2 Promises Fulfilled, 7 Trumpets, and Firenze Fire, who we're going to talk about later, is the morning line favorite in this spot. For me, I have in the 3rd spot in here. You have to use anywhere on your tickets, especially in the multis. It's a must-use in the pick 4. But for me, just time and time again, the horse seems to run the same race, and I'm just not sure if the upside is here as far as you take a look at the other contenders in here. Maybe there's a little bit more upside.
Yeah, this horse is 7 for 8 in the money, and I think you have to use in all your multiples. You have to use if you're a trifecta exacta player because this horse is going to offer some value here. After the Woody Stevens, the horse went off as a favorite, deservingly so, and was at a good price last time out. When, as you said, finished 2 lengths behind a really nice H.A. Jerkins field. So I think you need to play. I didn't have on top, but I have just outside of my mix in 4th.
Number 5 is a long shot. That's Smooth B. Going to go out for Robert Reed. 15-1 on the morning line. Frankie Pennington is going to be aboard. And this is the local horse. Last time won a 2 other than optional claimer over the slop here at Parks, going 7 furlongs. Obviously, going to cut back a little bit to the 6 furlong distance. And this is going to be the horse's 2nd try in Graded Stakes Company. You go back and take a look at that first try. Was back in October of 2017 in the Grade 3 Futurity against Engaged, and also likes of Mojo-Vation and Barry Lee. The horse ultimately finished 5th, beaten 10 3/4 lengths. And again, it's a little bit of a hot and cold type of horse, but again, a horse that excels at Parks. So if you're looking for the local theory, we saw it last weekend with Mr. Haverkamp. This horse has 3 wins and 7 career starts at Parks, including 5-7 in the money. Maybe an interesting horse to use as a price.
Yeah, and you see that a lot in these stakes races, especially on these big cards. The local horses run big, and this is another case here. The horse does need to improve, though. Buyers alone, the horse does need to improve. It's racing some solid competition here. I'm excited to see how the horse does. Frankie Pennington, obviously, he's the go-to guy at Parks. The horse loves running at Parks, so and has raced against some solid horses in some stakes races in the NYRA circuit. So we'll see how this horse does, and offers a lot of value for local connections that win a lot of races.
Number 6 is Earned Success, going out for Chad Brown. Luis Sai is going to be aboard at 10-1 on the morning line. This horse is 3 for 4 lifetime, including the last 2 and the 1 other than and 2 other than optional claimers at Monmouth, sprinting 6 furlongs, the distance they're going to go today. Horse that doesn't need the lead, won the first career debut race on the lead, but the last 3 have been from off the pace. You go back and watch the last one, was very impressive, getting up to win in a serious time of 109-3. Maybe a horse that's just progressing in the right way. For me, facing Graded Company for the first time. I have just outside my top 3, but is my long shot playing here.
Yeah, I could see why some people would like him from the long shot play here. And you got Chad at a big price. You get Louis Saenz riding probably the best of his career, starting from last January. So, and as you said, very versatile horse. Doesn't need to get to the lead, which I think is a big play here. I think you have to be off the pace here and go catch Firenze Fire, who we haven't talked about yet. And even him, he wants to come off the pace. So if you can get a jump on Firenze Fire and still having fun, it might be tough to catch. And Earned Success likes to do that.
And there's another one, the number 7 that we're going to talk about right now, War Giant. A lot of questions with this horse. Going to go first out for Jorge Navarro, was previously trained by Oscar Gonzalez, who did a really nice job with this horse. Winner of three in a row. Very impressive. The last 3 starts, the winning margin's been tremendous. 12 lengths, 5 3/4. Horse that's coming off a little bit of a freshening. Again, if you're taking a look at stats, Jorge Navarro, first time with his team, 25%. So take a look at the workout pattern. A horse that's cutting back from 7 to 6, coming off a little bit of a freshening. 8-1 offers some very good value on a horse, again, that's 3 for 5 lifetime.
Yeah, you don't want to get beat by Jorge Navarro. He is phenomenal at sprinting races. He's winning 22% of his graded stakes. And Esmir Jaramillo's coming up from South Florida, and he's done nothing wrong in this horse. And him and Jorge Navarro win a lot of sprinting races down in South Florida. So Esmir Jaramillo is a solid rider, especially sprinting. He's the normal jockey, I believe, on Jorge Navarro's other really good sprinter. I'm blanking on the name right now, XY Jet. So, this horse offers a ton of value. He's sneaky in these races all the time. Sprinting Navarro, just don't get kicked out of your multiples here at a really nice price.
Number 8 is Noble Commander. Mark Cassidy, Johnny V is going to be aboard. 15-1 offers some tremendous value. And again, another one that just makes you think in this spot. 2 for 3 lifetime, with the only blemish last time in the Federico Tessio. And again, you take a look, and you know when the Federico Tessio usually goes off. It goes off in April, so a horse that's coming off of a long layoff. But that last race did finish third to Diamond King and also Holland Park. I thought that was a really nice effort. A horse that's going to be forwardly placed in this spot and actually draws well in the 8 post in this spot. Buyers wise needs to improve. Off the layoff is probably going to be the biggest concern, but the workout pattern's okay, and maybe one at a little bit of a price. I think you have to go really deep in here as far as pick 4 goes, because obviously my top choice is going to be 12-1, but this horse at 15-1, I see no reason why to leave this horse out of the mix, and ultimately would be a little bit of a one where you pulled out your hair saying, how did I not use this horse?
Yeah, this is a tough race as it is. So if you're a multiple player, this is a race where you can go deep here and cut corners later, and that's exactly what these multiple players should do, because this is another horse where, as you said, you don't want to lose to this Mark Cassidy horse and John Velasquez, who won a lot of races together and lost to a solid horse who actually was in the Preakness and Diamond King. So we will see how Johnny B wants to go about it. I think off the pace is the way to be in this race, and this horse has won coming off the pace. Did win a state-bred stakes down in Florida, running off the pace at Tampa Bay Downs.
Number 9, Where She Told Me to Go, Anthony Pecoraro, and you're going to get Jeremy Rose aboard. 10-1 on the morning line, a winner of back-to-back wins the last 2, including in that stakes last time out at Laurel, going 6 furlongs, now transfers that recent form here to Parks. Horse that's going to be sitting about mid-pack in here. Does have that 3-back 102 buyer that you have to take a look at, and that optional claimer winning by 10.5. But for me, I just had to look elsewhere. But again, one of those horses where you say, if I'm playing the pick 4, do I really want to get beat by this horse? So possibly, like you said, you really got to go deep in this spot and just kind of trim in some other races.
Yeah, and you could say that for a lot of these horses. I think even with that 102 buyer, the horse does need to step up just a little bit. I think it's not far off from running and being competitive in graded stakes, but last time out, really, really impressive win in a stakes race down at Laurel Park. So the horse does have 2 stakes wins, has been competitive, was pretty competitive in some early on stakes, and winning a stakes race second, going 5.5 furlongs last September. So another horse where it's a little bit of a question mark, but could be dangerous in this spot.
Number 10 is Firenze Fire, the morning line favorite, 2-1 on the morning line. Rod Ortiz Jr. is going to be aboard for Jason Service, and this horse, 2 back, was so impressive in the Dwyer, the Grade 3 event, getting a 107 buyer. crushing the field by 9 lengths, including 7 trumpets. And Mendelssohn, who went on to finish a really nice second in the Travers. And we've kind of been talking about how we think you should go really deep in this spot as far as the pick 4 goes. But there's also the other theory where you could potentially single Firenze Fire. If you just think the class edge is there, and it is. You take a look on paper. This horse is the classiest of the bunch, is going to be sitting about mid-pack. There does seem to be some speed. And again, if you just think that there was a little bit of regression last time because of the career best 107 Beyer, now there's a little bit of upside. Coming back to 6 furlongs may actually help this horse. There's a potential you could single this horse in here and not have to spread. You could trim in this spot and go deeper in others.
Yeah, you could always do that too, and as you said, the class edge is definitely here for this horse. And I was always in my mind, this is a one-turn horse, and in the Dwyer, the horse went in the gate around 5-1, and then the race went off, took a lot of late money. So if you had that horse, that was sickening for you because you had a 7-1 price going in the gate. So really impressive win 2 back. I thought ran a great race last time out against a stud and Promises Fulfilled. And I always said this was a one-turn horse. Now you're going one turn again for Jason Servis. Just talked about him a few minutes ago. Does well in these greatest stake spots. And this potentially, as you said, if you think you could single here, this is your single in the late pick 4. But me as a multiple player, I'm going to go deep and try to beat this horse. But it's going to be very tough because the class edge.
Yeah, it's a very interesting race, and this is probably the key is. You talk about the handicapping, it's the money management, and it's how you format your ticket, because we kind of gave you both sides to the story, and I actually agree with both of them. I wouldn't be shocked, to see my ticket. You kind of have multiple tickets where maybe you spread a little bit in here, and then you just say, you know what, if for some reason Firenze Fire is just that good, you single the horse in a $30 or a $40 play and just spread out somewhere else. Ultimately, my top selections are going to be 7 Trumpets. I think we may be able to get a long shot in here off the last top performance where the horse actually beat Firenze Fire, who is your morning line favorite in here. I think 12-1. Hopefully it holds underneath Firenze Fire in the 2nd spot. I'll throw Engage in the 3rd spot. Again, one of those horses you just have to use, even if the upside's a little bit more with other horses than it is with Engage. And then as my long shot play, I'll go with Earned Success, a horse that's 3 for 4 lifetime, and again, coming in red hot for Chad Brown.
Yeah, still having fun stays. I'm going to play that horse on top, but goes to Belmont. I have Firenze Fire on top with 7 Trumpets underneath. I think 7 Trumpets at 12-1 is a phenomenal play, and ran huge last time out. It's a common in race for sharp form, so I think 7 Trumpets and Firenze Fire are solid choices. 1-2, still having fun leaves, and Engage underneath as well. 4-1 Chad Brown, you get some value. And this horse ran great the last 2 and 3 starts. Won a stakes 4 back, offers some value at 4-1. So very competitive 9th race here. I have it 1, 10, 3, and 4. It's still having fun leaves. I have 10, 3, 4, and 7.
All right, we will transition on to race number 10 at Parx. It's one of back-to-back $1 million races. It's the Grade 1 Cotillion, a mile and 16th on the dirt for 3-year-old fillies. Start out with numerical order, a solid field of 8 horses in here. Number 1, Norma's Charm, going to go out for Uriah St. Louis. 20-1 on the morning line. This horse finished 6th last time up at Saratoga, sprinting 6 furlongs in that 1 other than allowance race. Go back for a look at the overall body of work. Did finish 5th, 2 back in the Grade 1 test, the separation of powers. And also a horse I know you tout very high in Mia Mischief. So just taking a look at the overall body of work, take a look at the Beyers in here. This horse needs to improve immensely.
Yeah, it needs a lot to go right for this horse to be even competitive in this field. I like how they're taking a shot, but they took a shot in the test, didn't really go as planned here. So, 2018, the horse has done fine. Only 1 win, though. 6 for 10 in the money. I think it's way over its head here. Does need to improve.
I think there are about 3 horses in here that stand out, but there's one that stands out above all, and that's Monomoy Girl, number 2. 3-5 on the morning line, Brad Cox. Florange, you obviously had a horse that had a lot of buzz going into the Kentucky Oaks, drew that dreaded post of 14, was able to overcome it that day, dueled Wonder Godot down the stretch and got the job done. Went on and won the Acorn the last time out in the CCA Oaks against Midnight Bijou, who was coming off of that tremendous performance in the Mother Goose. Really was able to win that race quite easily by 3 lengths. A horse that's 8 wins and 9 lifetime starts. I don't think the distance of a mile and 16th is going to be a concern. This is a horse that can go to the lead. This horse is a horse that can sit just off of it. You saw that in the Kentucky Oaks where the horse finished 3rd, just outside 3 wide. There's really no concerns about Monomoy Girl in this spot, and I just think at 3-5, Most likely winner in here. Hopefully that 3 to 5 holds, and you can kind of link up exactas. Maybe she's a potential single in your pick 4 plays or any of your multi race selections in here. But at 3 to 5, I think she's much the best in the spot.
She definitely is much the best. It's going to be tough to beat this horse, but I'm going to try. Spoiler alert! I'm going to try to beat this horse.
Huge upset.
Huge upset. Yeah. But she definitely is the horse to beat here. She's done nothing wrong in her career. She looked absolutely phenomenal in the CCA Oaks. The Acorn, that was the one race I thought she could get beat. I didn't think she could do the one turn. I thought she was always a 2-turn horse. She proved me wrong. Her one loss, though, is at this distance. So it's going to be tough to beat her, but I'm going to try just for the sake of prices here, especially if Forensic Fire holds on in the race before. I'm going to want to back myself up. And if you do beat her, you're getting a price wherever you go.
Yeah, it'll be something we talk about right away on next week's stakes preview if you can beat her. On to number 3, Jump Ruler going to go out for Kelly Breen. 21 on the morning line. Albin Jimenez is going to be aboard. Had that really nice race last time out where the horse won by 14 1/4, albeit it was against optional claimers. Going a mile distance at Monmouth, stretching out to the mile 16th. A little bit of a concern on the stretch out based on the fact that the horse needs some speed in here and is actually folded in a lot of races, but did get that a nice setup last time out against a decent horse in 7. Steep class jump now against the likes of Monomoy Girl. You have Wonder Godot coming out of the Travers, and obviously a winner of the Queen's Plate when we went up there. Midnight Beezer's in this race. The waters are really deep for Jump Ruler.
Yeah, like Norma's Charm, I think it's nice for the connections to enter this horse here. Albin Jimenez is in town after that fantastic win out of town at Monmouth. It really does need to improve here. This is a tough first graded stakes start, but we'll see how Albin Jimenez does this. Gotta play Catch Me If You Can, but Monomoy Girl's gonna be breathing down Jump Ruler's neck the entire way.
Number 4 is Wonder Godot, going to go off for Mark Cassidy. Johnny V, 6-1 on the morning line. Obviously, was one of the stories going into the Travers. The filly facing the boys had won 2 of the 3 Canadian Triple Crown jewels. Could have went to the breeders and kind of completed that. Could have went to the Alabama and faced the girls. Ultimately, they tried to take a stab at the Travers. It really didn't work out for him. Finished 10th, beating 19.5. If you kind of eliminate that race, she is a contender in here. And obviously, you go back to the Kentucky Oaks where this horse dueled Monomoy Girl down the stretch. Ultimately finished second, only being a half length. I know Mark Cassius says he always wanted a rematch against Monomoy Girl. He finally has it. Problem is, this is Wonder Godot's 10th race in 2018. Do you think there's enough upside with her, or do you think she's just going to start to get tired with all the races under the 2018 campaign?
It's going to be interesting here, and she has yet to win in America. She's been very close, losing by half a length, a head, a nose, but she has won once, at Aqueduct in the United States. So, for me, I did choose her on top. I think she's going to get her race. I think it sets up perfectly for her. I think that was just a really tough ask. Even if she went in the Alabama, I don't think she would have won that race either way. So that was, I like how they entered her in the Travers. She looked great going into the Travers, though, as well. So she's a horse. We say it every time we talk about her. She needs her room. She needs somewhere to run. If she can't stretch her legs, she gets boxed up. She never runs well. She always runs second or third. I think it sets up perfectly for her. It's great to see John Velasquez back in the irons, her normal rider. So at 6-1, ton of value at Wonder Godot.
And I will say this: they didn't empty the tank in the Travers. Obviously, they saw Catholic Boy Mendelssohn out there, and no one was able to close into it. Once Wonder Godot kind of started to fall back, Gerard Ortiz Jr. just kind of wrapped up and said, "You know what? Tomorrow's another day." They found their spot here in the cotillion, and again, I don't think it's completely empty in here. There are some concerns, but again, if you just think a Monomoy Girl is beatable in this spot, Wonder Godot is going to go off at a really nice price, and you may just say, really, how did I not use this horse in my mix? So again, if you want to go 2 or 3 deep here in the pick 4, I think Wonder Godot is absolutely a solid play to use to try to upset Monomoy Girl in this spot. On to number 5, Separation of Powers, Chad Brown. Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard 10-1 on the morning line. This horse won last time in the Grade 1 test, going 7 furlongs against Mia Mischief. I know you were at the bankroll that day. You had Mia Mischief in that spot, so you remember this race vividly. Got a 93 buyer that day. I thought that was a really nice stretch duel by both of them. I don't think anybody lost anything in defeat that day. The stretch out to 2 turns for me is a little bit of a question mark going the mile and 16th. The only time this horse has run that was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, finishing even 4th that day. to Caledonia Road. Stretching out now to 2 turns. Maybe this horse is in really good form, going to be coming from about mid-pack. Potential in here.
I think it's potential. I think the stretch out's a big question mark. I'm going to use to complete some superfectas. I'm going to leave out of my multiple tickets. And that was, I thought me and Mitch should put this horse away, and it still kind of hurts me because that would have been a big win for the bankroll team. But this horse is going to get to the lead as well with Monomoy Girl. Can she go this distance? That's has yet to be seen. I think she's more of a sprinter. I like Chad giving the connections and Klarovich a chance here, and she definitely does have a chance. She's at a really nice price. I think she's there to complete some supers, though.
Number 6, Chocolate Martini, Tommy and Mr. Ortiz Jr., 12-1 on the morning line. Horse that's coming off a little bit of a freshening, but has been training well up to it. Take a look at the last couple of races. Did run in that CCA Oaks, finished 3rd behind Monomoy Girl and Midnight Bijou. I thought that was a decent performance at the odds, 43-1. Go back to the 2-back race when this horse is actually one of the favorites in the Grade 2 race at Santa Anita. Again, finished an even 3rd. So for me, this horse obviously needs to improve against the likes of some horses we already touched upon. And also, one we haven't touched upon yet, Midnight Bijou is solidly in the mix. For me, as a horse that you have, for me anyway, I have just outside my mix, but maybe a horse that you could use here in the supers.
Yeah, I have the horse outside my mix as well. This horse is going to try to be flying late, but you got Midnight Bijou who likes to close. So, out of the 2 closers, I'd rather take Money Mike and Midnight Bijou. I think it's a tough spot here. The horse does need to improve, but ran great in the Fairground Oaks. Kentucky Oaks really didn't do any running. Took a lot of money in the Summer Oaks out west. Came to Saratoga. So, they're trying to pick a spot for this horse. I just don't think this is the right spot.
Number 7 is Midnight Bijou, going to go out for Steve Asmussen. Mike Smith is going to be aboard, and he's been aboard for the last 7 times, so nice to see Mike come into town. 5-1 on the morning line, and for me, you take a look at the last couple. Take a look at that CCA Oaks where the horse was coming off that impressive Mother Goose. You thought maybe Midnight Bijou could put up a potential fight against Monomoy Girl in that spot. Took a bunch of money that day and ultimately finished second, beating 3 lengths. Mike Smith kind of wrapped up on her late and just said, you know what, I don't think we have it to be able to gun down Monomoy Girl in that spot last time out. Again, went off as the favorite in the Alabama, finished 3rd. Eskimo Kisses was able to kind of run them all down and go clear late in that race. That, to me, was a subpar performance. Maybe this horse is going to be able to bounce back. And for me, I think you're going to see a change-up in dynamics. This horse has been sitting about mid-pack or even towards the rear of the field. You could see a change-up where Mike Smith just caused an audible in here and actually goes and attacks the leaders, because you take a look at that Mother Goose, which is this horse's easily best race, was right on the lead that day and was able to go pretty much wire to wire in that spot, winning by 6 lengths, going the mile 16 distance. I think you're going to see a Mike Smith audible in here. I think you're going to see the horse forwardly placed, but I don't know if this is going to be enough to still beat Monomoy Girl in the spot.
That's just the one big question mark here. I don't think it's going to be enough either. I have the horse out just outside of my mix. But this is another horse you don't want to get kicked out of your pick 5. If you lose to Mike Smith at a big price, you're going to be kicking yourself. So this is another horse you're going to get a good price. I agree. I think this horse will be more forwardly placed. But you don't want to see this horse run suicidal fractions and have nothing left. So it's going to be very interesting. There's one horse in here that's going to play Catch Me If You Can at a big price. I think Mike Smith will sit right outside of Florent and see if he's got anything left towards the top of the lane.
Rounding out the field's number 8, Dixie Serenade. 15-1 on the morning line. Another local horse in here. Raced at Parks 9 times, including 3 victories and 5 second-place performances. You take a look at it. Horse has been in the money 8 of 9 career starts over the park surface. Last time out did go 6.5. This is a horse that's a stone-cold closer, and the last 2 have been really nice performances, but they've only been 80-plus buyers in here. This horse is going to need to improve, but again, we always talk about the local theory. The horse has been training well. Does have that nice mile work, too, to kind of get some stamina into it. Maybe another horse that you could round out the supers with.
Yeah, I could see how you could use that, just the local connections. I think you need to give the horse a little bit of a shot here, but I think we'll be flying late. I don't think he's going to be able to catch the front runners here. I think he's in a little bit too tough of a spot.
All right, what are your thoughts here? I know you kind of alluded to the fact you're going to try to upset with Wonder Godot, but what are your official 1, 2, 3, 4 picks?
I have Wonder Godot on top, and Monomoy Girl second. And Separation of Powers, I think, can hang on to maybe get 3rd or 4th here at a little bit of a price. But I like Wonder Godot. I think the race sets up perfectly for her. It's going to be tough to beat Monomoy Girl, but again, she's done nothing wrong. It's going to be very, very tough. But Wonder Godot, I think the race dynamic set up perfectly for her on paper. So I'm going to go with Wonder Goodell for a slight upset in the cotillion.
Yeah, I thought my girls just be too tough to beat, so then I tried to look for an exacta play in here that was going to, maybe be a $15, $20 exacta. So I have a 2, 5, 7 in here using Monomoy Girl on top, separation of powers at 10-1. Hopefully that holds. And if we're able to beat the exacta of Monomoy Girl, Wonder Godot, or Monomoy Girl, Midnight Bizu in here, this exacta might come back $15, $20. Maybe you have it 5 or 10 times and kind of make some money in this race. That's the way I kind of thought. And I'm going to bet it in this spot. And then in the third spot, have Midnight Bizu. See if this horse can change up with Mike Smith, what I think is going to be a little bit of different race dynamics. We'll see if that actually happens on Saturday. But a horse I have solidly in the mix. And then Wonder Godot, I have just outside my mix, but easily could improve. Again, my only real concern was the fact this horse has run 10 times in 2018. But again, you go back to any of those 2 or 3 back races, this horse is solidly in the mix and has already put up a fight against Monomoy Girl. So I know Mark Cassie's high on Wonder Godot's chances here in the Grade 1 Cotillion on Saturday. All right, that's going to take us to our final break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the big one on Saturday. It's the Pennsylvania Derby.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Welcome back to the Capital OTB Stakes preview. We are up to the featured race on Saturday. It's the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby, mile and an eighth on the dirt for 3-year-olds. $1 million purse. Start out with number 1. First Mondays going out for John Service. 3 career starts, has been victorious in 2 of them. Last time out did race in Grade 3 company, finished an even third that day. 2 Axelrod, who we'll talk about a little bit later on, does have that race over the surface here at Parks. What are your thoughts, 15-1?
Yeah, you get Frankie Pennington, John Service, really nice local connections there. For me, I had to ultimately pass there. Even though ran a really nice Smarty Jones race there, I just definitely think he needs to improve. But really balanced on paper. Going to be interesting to see where Frankie wants to place the horse.
Number 2 is Hofberg, Billy Mott, Rod Ortiz Jr., 3-1 on the morning line. This horse, to me, is quite interesting. It's going to be my top choice. Last time did run in that restricted stakes, the Curlin up at Saratoga over a sloppy surface. I know it didn't beat a really big field or a really notable field that day, but just did it the right way. I think the mile and eighth distance, obviously, the distance shouldn't be a concern. I'd have tap it. This horse is running and bred to run all day. Take a look at the last couple works. This horse has been training really well. Blinkers going on. A little bit of an interesting move. Maybe fixes some focusing issues. But I have on top.
I have Hofberg on top. I think the first time Blinkers is the right choice here. Rod Ortiz will be up again on this horse. And really, ran well in the Belmont, the Curlin. I thought that was just a preparation for the Travers. Obviously missed the Travers. Horse could have ran huge again that weekend instead of the Curlin. So I think fits in nicely here. The closing speed of Rod Ortiz, first time Blinkers. Nice bullet workouts for a closing horse. Also my top choice here at 3-1.
Number 3 is In Still Regard, going out for Chad Brown. And again, used to hearing the name Jerry Hollendorfer when he thought of In Still Regard, but it's going to go first time out for Chad Brown, who excels first time out with the team, 27%. Again, this horse was really notable in the 2-year-old campaign. Obviously, he had that big win in the Grade 3 Lecomte at Fairgrounds, but has been off since running the Kentucky Derby, where the horse finished a solid 4th. Again, going out for Chad Brown Barn, you have to like that. 15-1, very attractive. Jose Ortiz aboard. What are your thoughts?
I have in my mix for a superfecta trifecta play here. I thought ran huge in the Kentucky Derby, 85-1 with Drayden Van Dyke. You'll never see that again, the way Drayden's been riding. But you get Jose Ortiz in a new barn. In the closing speed, I think could be deadly here. They paid $1.5 million for this horse, so gonna be interesting to see where else they place this horse. To me, I think the 3rd or 4th spot's the right spot for In Still Regard.
Number 4 is King Zachary. You're going to go off Dale Romans, Corey Lannery, 20-1 on the morning line. And again, you've been a little bit higher than this horse than I have. You go back to those 3 and 4 back victories, including that Grade 3 Matt win, where the horse was able to upset the field that day by a little bit over 12-1, going clear by 4 3/4. Thought that was a very nice performance. The last 2 back-to-back 4th place finishes, including the one in the Travers. That 4th place finish in the Travers, I think, was obviously the best career race. Even though the horse didn't win, the likes of the field, the way the race kind of shaped up, King Zachary was really one of like two horses that were really running at the end. So maybe there's some upside in here. 20 offers some good value.
Ton of value for Dale Romans here, and as you said, no one was closing except for King Zachary there. Just couldn't catch anyone in the Travers there. Was really wide on the turn, and two back in the Matt Wynn, very impressive performance there. The horse took a ton of money in the Wood Memorial. I think it was 30-1, and then went to the Indiana Derby, kind of threw in a clunker there. 20-1, a ton of value. I've always liked King Zachary, but not in this spot.
Number 5, Core Beliefs. Peter Urton, Joe Talamo, 10-1 on the morning line. Winner 2 back in the Grade 3 Ohio Derby against Lone Sailor and Trigger Warning, who we'll touch upon a little bit later on. Last time out, the Haskell finished 4th, beating a big margin, 10.5 lengths that day to Good Magic and Bravazzo. Off a little bit of a freshening. The workout pattern's been pretty good out in Santa Anita. Maybe one to use as a price.
Yeah, the horse ran well in the Haskell. I thought didn't really belong in there. I thought it was way over bet in that spot. Ran well against Blended Citizen, who went on to do some nice things as well. Core Beliefs also beat Lone Sailor, who ran well the next time out off that Ohio Derby. So, I could see why some people would like it. I thought it was way over bet in the Haskell. 10-1 is more the right price here. It's going to be flying late. This horse likes to sit right off the pace. I don't know if you'll get that sitting second or third. I think we'll be 4th or 5th by 6 or 7 lengths. Maybe we'll see if the closing speed will be enough.
Number 6, Axelrod, going to go out for Mike McCarthy. Joe Bravo, 5-1 on the morning line. You just take a look at this horse, and versatility is this horse's best friend. You take a look at the earlier part of the career, was able to be forwardly placed, getting the job done. In the last couple, both victories in Grade 3 events, including the Indiana Derby, 2 starts back on the mile 16 distance, came from out of the clouds that day to get the job done, beating Trigger Warning and also Title Ready, who's a decent horse in his own regard. So for me, just the versatility alone, you're not really sure where this horse is going to be sitting in this spot because there does seem to be quite a bit of speed in here. But the fact that Axelrod can come from off the pace, huge plus.
Yeah, I had this. I was thinking about playing this horse. It was tough between if I wanted Conceal Regard or Axelrod in my 4th spot. But 1-for-1 at Parks, and that was a really impressive win in the Smarty Jones. No, we know the horse can go the distance. We know the horse likes the track. This isn't just another spot here for Mike McCarthy where he can do a potential upset. 5-1 is very fair for a horse that seems to like the surface.
Number 7, Mr. Freeze, Dale Romans, Robbie Alvarado. 12-1 on the morning line. This horse, 4 career starts, been victorious in 3 of them, and the only blemish being a second-place performance in the Iowa Derby, where the horse only lost by a half a length, was coming on High North that day. So, for me, really done nothing wrong. Got that 102 buyer last time out in the Grade 3 West Virginia Derby, where their horse was so impressive, beating the likes of High North. Actually turned the tides on High North that day and also beat a nice horse in draft pick. For me, off that huge performance last time out, there is the potential for a little bit of a bounce theory, but at the price you're going to get and the way this horse has been running, there is some upside in here, and the workouts have been strong. 12-1 is fantastic price.
Yeah, as you said, I think the bounce theory is definitely in play here. But that was a fantastic performance in West Virginia Derby. Obviously, you beat some nice horses, but you're going to race against some, I think, a better class of horses here. And the 3-year-olds, it's just so wide open, and this is another horse that could potentially blow it up here today.
Number 8 is McKinsey, Bob Baffert, Mike Smith, 5-2 on the morning line. A really notable name on the trail to the Triple Crown before this horse got hurt. Obviously, the big race last time out for McKenzie was that DQ against Bolt de Oro, where they both kind of hit. McKenzie got taken down. Bolt de Oro got put up that day, but that was a 101 buyer. Again, ended up getting hurt. They had this horse off the Triple Crown Trail, needed to get this horse back right. They finally have so. They pointed towards the Pennsylvania Derby all along, so that's a good sign. You see Mike Smith come in, Money Mike, 5-2. For me, is a little bit short with the obvious questions, especially since we thought Salamini and a couple other horses were going to be a little bit better than they were, but we haven't seen them pan out in here. So for me, it's just a little bit of a watch and see if McKenzie's that good.
Yeah, and this was the Justify out of the Baffert barn before Justify was even a thought, because before the injury everyone's like McKenzie's the real deal. Got taken down because of the DQ against Bolt de Oro. Kantaka's been okay, went on to win a couple of races. My Boy Jack, same situation there, but at 5-2 I couldn't take there. I know it's Bob Baffert, I know it's Mike Smith, I know this horse was set out to be the leading class of the 3-year-olds, so 5-2 too short for me. I have in my mix, but we'll see how this horse does off that injury.
Number 9, Trigger Warning. going out for Michael Roan, 20-1 on the morning line. Blinker's going to come off. And this horse, for anybody who's a long shot player in here, you can't really use this horse on top. It's going to be a little bit of a stretch, just the way the race is going to set up in here. This horse looks to be a little bit forwardly placed, but there does seem to be some better speed in this spot. But if you like playing tries and supers, take a look at that 3-back race where the horse finished third at 86-1 in a Grade 3 event. So for me, although I don't like this horse on top, I wouldn't be shocked to see this horse run a huge race, maybe finish fourth in this spot and kind of blow up the supers.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. This was another horse where you're going to get 50-1 on here. And in the Travers, I thought was just a big ask. Ohio Derby, the horse ran huge. The Indiana Derby, the horse ran huge. Ran behind Axelrod. It's going to be a big price. If you're a super player, I could definitely see why you would take this horse just to get a piece of third.
Number 10, rounding out the field, Bravazzo, 6-1 on the morning line, Dwayne Lucas, Luis Saez. And again, for me, you take a look at it, the last 2 races, obviously the third in the Travers, I thought that was a very nice performance. The Haskell, the horse just kind of followed good magic around the track, finished second, beating 3 lengths. For me, though, the horse hasn't won in a very long time, hasn't won since February 17th, and this is the 9th start of 2018 for Bravazzo. We've just seen the name so many times during 2018. I'm just not sure there's as much upside as there is with a couple others coming off of layoffs or freshenings. For me, Bravazzo may be a little bit tired in this spot, but if he's able to run back to any of his last couple races, you have to use in the mix.
You definitely have to use in the mix. I have ranked my top 3, and if it runs like it did, if this horse runs like it did in the Preakness, he's a really interesting horse here, and I thought it was an okay performance in the Travers. The Haskell, obviously, I thought was a very gutsy performance there. You're getting a ton of value with all the money going to go to McKinsey and Hofberg. I think you need to use in your exotic plays.
This is an intriguing Pennsylvania Derby here. What are your thoughts?
I have Hofberg on top. We already kind of talked about it. I think this horse is coming in razor sharp form. Putting the blinkers on, I think it's the correct move here and will definitely help. I have Bravazzo in the second spot. I thought the last 3 or 4 races this horse has done nothing wrong and ran some huge numbers in some races where I think didn't fit in well at all. And then McKinsey in the third spot. Too short of a price for me to take off of that injury, but definitely can wire the field here for Bob Baffert.
Yeah, I have a 2, 8, 3, and 7. Hofberg, McKenzie. I know they're going to be short, probably the 2 favorites in here, but those look to be 2 standout horses for me. If you're looking for price horses in still regard, I think going first time out for Chad, have to use in the mix. You're going to see Jose Ortiz aboard, 15-1, hoping that holds. And then Mr. Freeze, I have as my price play in here, 12-1 on the morning line, a horse that's done nothing wrong in 4 career starts. Things improving each and every time. Maybe there's a possibility that the bounce theory can play off that huge Grade 3 performance, but I still think this horse could improve with the 5th career start coming up here on Saturday in the Pennsylvania Derby. All right, that was our look at 5 stakes races on this Saturday. It's the Saturday's editions of Stakes Preview anyway, but good luck this weekend coming up. We'll be back next weekend to talk some more. Stay tuned.